Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance has a banger soundtrack, so let's talk about some theories I have with it, and things I feel that people outright miss about it. I wanted to do this for a while, so I'm excited because I love theory crafting in games and want to bring my own spin on the music in this game and what I really think that it means. So let's begin. To understand the music and Raiden's story, I'll be playing the music not in chronological order to the game itself, which means it won't go Rules of Nature, I'm my own master now, Stranger I Remain, etc., etc. Instead, I will be playing them in the order of Raiden's own life, because I genuinely think that the music reflects Raiden's own life rather than the bosses they're supposed to represent. So, to begin, we need to explain who Raiden is in the first place, so we'll start with Metal Gear Solid 2. Raiden is a former child soldier who was born in Liberia. He was forced into killing people, and this unit was led by Solidus Snake, who taught him to love blades by killing people with them in front of him. Raiden, through his time as a soldier, became a killing machine, an incredible soldier, becoming known as the White Devil and Jack the Ripper. He took up arms at the age of 6 until he eventually became the leader of Solidus Snake's kill squad.
You were one of the best among the child soldiers that fought in that conflict. When you were barely 10 years old, you became the platoon leader of the small boy unit. At the time, your outstanding kill record earned you several nicknames, including White Devil and Jack the Ripper. Jack, I was your godfather. I named you.
He was incredibly cruel to his enemies, using knives to kill them, gaining him the title of the Ripper. After the war ended, Jack was placed in a relief center by Solidus, but unknown to him, he was eventually moved to the United States and underwent counseling and had to be considered stable before adoption. Jack eventually grew up and would join the United States Army, having severe trauma and PTSD, and being unstable when he thinks about his past. He would also have tendencies to recreate his past living conditions and be unable to show others affection properly.
I'm so lonely.
Lonely? Rose, we've always...
Not always.
What do you mean?
You've never slept beside me.
What are you talking about?
After we've been together in my room, you stay awake all night, or you head for the door.
Is this really the time to bring this up?
Why, Jack? Why?
Listen, Rose, I'm right in the middle of a mission, and
Why? Why can't you relax when you're with me?
Look, the mission,
Why don't you open up to me?
Rose, I just can't.
All I ever wanted was to share your dreams, to spend a meaningful evening with you. I just wanted to find you by my side when I woke up. Is that asking too much?
It's the night. I'm scared of the night. It's got nothing to do with you.
Scared of the night? What's that supposed to mean?
I can't relax when I'm with someone.
Jack, you wouldn't even let me in your room.
I need privacy. I just can't be bothered.
Bothered?
Wrong word. What I wanted to say was that there are certain things that I have to keep to myself.
Do you remember that time I forced my way into your room? We'd known each other for almost a year, and you blew up. It was the first time you ever raised your hand against me. I was so worried about you.
Look, I'm sorry.
After the Shadow Moses incident, Raiden would train extensively under simulations, running them hundreds and hundreds of times until he knew them inside and out.
All right, Raiden. You've already covered infiltration and VR training.
I've completed 300 missions in VR. I feel like some kind of legendary mercenary.
It wasn't until he met Solid Snake that something happened within him. Raiden his entire life only knew that soldiers were tools, nothing else. They were only used for bad deeds. But upon meeting Snake, his goals in life changed, and he realized he could be a soldier, but be a soldier and do good things as well, like Snake. After the tanker incident, Raiden would begin artificially enhancing his body with cyborg implants, and would only fight using a high-frequency blade given to him by Snake. This gave Raiden a superhuman strength, cyborg blood, and he could also take more damage than a normal human and survive. At this time, Raiden would also have a son with his wife Rose, and after the fall of the Patriots, would eventually attempt to blend in with society. However, after a while, Raiden decided to return to a PMC company, Maverick, this time giving cyborg soldiers jobs and allowing them to make money for their families. And that is where we pick up with the story. And I'm pretty sure you know it all by now. Metal Gear Ray, Sam, Mistral, Monsoon, Mistral again, Monsoon again, Sundowner, Sam again, Metal Gear Excelsis, Senator Armstrong, etc. But we're not here to talk about the story. We're here to talk about the music and how it pertains to Raiden's own life. So, the first song that plays in the game. Everybody knows Rules of Nature, it's great. It also parallels Raiden's time as a soldier perfectly. I believe these lyrics talk about Raiden's time as a child soldier, comparing himself to a starving animal, willing to do anything for survival. Starving animals have been known to attack and eat humans if they're desperate enough, which is what Raiden does in the army. He compares himself to a predator, something at the top of the food chain, saying that he's on the verge of death, not knowing if each day will be his last fighting in this war. Once again, this is an excellent parallel. When the sun comes up and the war continues to rage, they run after seeing Jack the Ripper coming towards them with their lives on the line, knowing that if he catches them, he'll kill them. I love the little background vocal here because it solidifies my idea of where this song is in Raiden's life. The "no choice" lyric shows that he had no choice in joining, and he has to follow the laws of the wild, which are kill or be killed, which harkens back to the song Rules of Nature or Laws of the Wild, which are two ways to say the exact same thing. This line is talking about how after the day's done, the horrific things Raiden has done don't matter, as he's simply just trying to survive in this hellscape war. He simply sees this nothing more as life. He is the hunter, and everyone around him is the prey. Now this line really interests me because when one thinks prey, they don't think one would win over a predator. Nobody looks at a lion and thinks that a simple gazelle can kill it, which makes me think that what this song is describing is less about hunter versus prey, but is more about weak versus strong, or what people might perceive as weak and strong, where Raiden is the strong and everyone that he's killing as a child soldier is weaker than he is.
Хорошо, very good. But do not rest easy just yet, huh?
One might think this song is about Mistral, right? After all, it's her theme. But I believe this is the time when Raiden was taken from her relief home in Liberia and moved to America. When the song says across an unforgiving sea, this might reflect the ocean that he had to cross to come here to the United States. Drifting further and further could be reflective of his current mental state and the trauma he's been through, disconnecting himself from reality at times, drifting further and further from it.
It's all becoming clear to me that violent winds are upon us, and I can't sleep. Internal temperatures rising, and all the voices won't recede.
Raiden came to America from Liberia, but has no idea exactly where he is in the world. Furthermore, he might not even have been in Liberia still as a child soldier, which solidifies that he has no idea where he came from, i.e., I come here from nowhere. This line is an excellent example showing Raiden's own PTSD that he has from his time as a child soldier. He can no longer sleep. He feels incredibly hot, like he's having a panic attack, and the voices of the people he's killed won't go away. It's becoming clearer to him the horrific things that he's done that he once brushed aside as no big deal.
I finally found what I was looking for, a place where I can be without remorse, because I am a stranger who has found an even stranger war.
This line could be reflecting his time he was taken into the Patriots, not knowing of this quote-unquote proxy war that existed behind the curtains in America, and finally feeling like he belongs again. But he's a stranger in this place, that he's found something even stranger than him. Now you might think, wait a minute, but this song has French in it. How is it Raiden's song? And to that I say that according to the wonderfully always accurate Google Translate, the lyrics roughly translate to, "The heat bothers me, but it was the creaking of the boat that woke me up." Possibly the boat that brought Raiden to America, which also harkens back to the line of internal temperature rising, which is him feeling hot, trying to sleep, or possibly it's him having a nightmare that he's being woken up from. Raiden was given the title Jack the Ripper because of his abilities to use a knife, and him looking down upon the bay is reminiscent of a tourist in a skyscraper, looking down, realizing that the world is bigger than they even imagined. But Raiden, no matter where he is, whether he's a white Liberian in Africa or he's in America, is still a stranger in all these lands and knows that he doesn't belong.
Don't fuck with me, boy.
Again, another song that parallels Raiden's time in the army, but this time, I believe it's his time in the United States Army. This line is talking about Raiden's time as a child soldier. He doesn't remember who he was before this. All he knows is he's been a soldier as long as he can remember. He had no choice but to fight and take orders. This talks about how empty Raiden felt during his time as a child soldier. He was getting fed, but still, he felt completely empty. Perhaps talking about being emotionally empty rather than physically starving. Or maybe he was even starving, as child soldiers aren't really taken care of too well. Talking about how despite his past as a soldier, he wasn't content with living this way, being led by people who can't even see what they're doing to others. Here we see that he's planning his time to leave the United States Army. Talking about his time between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4, where he was a freelance agent, working to make the world a better place as a cyborg. Now he can choose his fights to help other people. This is talking about Raiden's own experiences, his scars, and despite all of his battles and trials he's been through, he's survived them all and will continue to survive no matter what happens to him. This is talking about Raiden's emotional state and how he feels the need to howl to the wind because he's finally free. He's not being controlled by anyone anymore but himself, once again reinforcing that he is his own master now.
Cannot continue.
That nickname you love so much. Want to know how I got it? Actually, why don't I give you a demonstration? think it's time for Jack to let her rip.
This is talking about Raiden's anger that he's currently feeling towards World Marshal and what they're doing to people in the world. This is mentioning how, while the rain usually washes away things, for Raiden, he feels nothing. Nothing is being washed away because there is nothing there. It's dry to him, a place where even if there was something to wash off, the rain wouldn't even touch it anyways because it can't reach. This is how Raiden feels, where he feels like despite all he's done, he's just sinking deeper and deeper into a peaceful life he wants, but he knows that he can never have because of how twisted the world is around him. This relates back to the previous line where, despite sinking into a peaceful life, suddenly he's brought back. Maybe it's his PTSD or his trauma that kicks in, and he remembers everything he's done, leading to something like a panic attack, a sudden jolt where he thought he was living a peaceful life, only to remember all the awful things he's done. Talking about how these feelings and his trauma will never go away, not until he's dead, and they'll stay with him through everything and continue reminding him of everything he's done. Perhaps talk about how Raiden has dreams, he has ambitions, he has wants and needs that he knows he'll never get because of his twisted past, which relates to MGS2, where he even struggled to adapt to being in a different army like the United States Army, where his dreams of living a normal life may never come to fruition because of his own personal trauma.
Your memes end here.
Okay, pause for a second, because in order to talk about these last two songs, we need to talk about something that Metal Gear Rising does. That doesn't just show how powerful characters are, but it shows how powerful Raiden is compared to them, and how most people miss this. Alright, so every boss fight starts with one thing, an instrumental. Once the boss reaches 50%, the lyrics are going to kick in. This isn't just a stylistic choice to make the boss fight more epic, it's to show Raiden's active progression through the fighting. It always kicks in the lyrics when Raiden gains the upper hand and is now more powerful than his enemies are. He's beating them, and they're growing weaker, which is when they usually kick in at about 50% health. Every boss does this during their second stages to show how in the beginning, Raiden might be weaker than they are, but eventually he gains the upper hand and begins to turn the fight around. In fact, Metal Gear Exorcist does a perfect job at showcasing this. How, despite fighting this mech the entire fight, it's an instrumental until Raiden starts to cut pieces off the Metal Gear slowly but surely. It doesn't just stay in the lyrics, it goes back to the instrumental to show how that, despite this, Raiden might still lose this fight. It's not until Raiden has flipped the Metal Gear and is literally sword fighting with it that the lyrics finally kick in and they don't go away to show that he's winning and equally matched with the Metal Gear now. Now that we have established this, we're going to double pause because we need to talk about something different. We need to talk about Sam's character and the overall theme of Metal Gear Rising, which is morals and being unflinching in your resolve to see them through in whatever you believe. Now, Sam is a lot like Raiden. He has the same moral code even. He fights for the weak to protect them from the powerful, traveling the world, acting like his own PMC, of course, similar to what Raiden was doing in the beginning.
Sharpening my skills. Wandering the earth, dispensing justice, but only to those who deserve it. Such as outlaws, desperados.
You refer to World Marshal.
Sam was unflinching in his resolve until he came across Armstrong, a seemingly invincible man who would have killed him if he didn't have a use for someone as strong as him. Of course, Sam saw firsthand what he could do, and he decided to join him after all. If someone as strong as Sam couldn't take down Armstrong, then who could? But one thing I want to point out here is Sam is in fact stronger than Armstrong, even in the beginning of Sam's DLC. It's just that Sam didn't know what he was up against and how to deal with it. After all, Sam was basically not even a cyborg in the DLC and only had some enhancements after Metal Gear Rising's story starts. And still, he manages to chop off Armstrong's hand and gain a slightly upper hand, pun intended, advantage over Armstrong. This is also backed up by the fact that during the first fight with Sam, there are no lyrics. There's nothing. Raiden is not at Sam's level yet, and the music actively reflects this. Until we get to the only thing I know for real, a battle to the death. Sam or Raiden, may the best man win. This song comes out with the lyrics immediately, showing that yes, Raiden is now at Sam's level. There is no more waiting 50% to hear the lyrics. It's right out the gate, showing us that they are now equally matched. Now this song is less about Raiden and actually more about Sam and how he's given up his morals, how he doesn't know who he is anymore because what he stood for no longer applies to him. Sam no longer knows who he is anymore. He's a hired killer, no longer fighting for the weak, but now he's fighting for the strong. Much like Raiden, Sam has lost counts of the ones he's killed. He doesn't even know the reason why he's killing people. He just does as he's told now. He's another pawn to the system that he once fought. The only thing Sam feels anymore is cold, emptiness. Perhaps where he once felt human, he no longer feels that rush of battle he felt protecting others who are weaker than he is. It's gone, now replaced by nothing. Even fighting a Raiden in his field, he's spiting himself. He's spiting his morals he once held so dear and close to his heart like Raiden does. Talking about the fight with Raiden, where Raiden is the man in the mirror. He's everything Sam once stood for. Sam is now the antithesis of Raiden, a swordsman who believes in justice, corrupted by everything. He was what Raiden would have been had he not met Snake, only seeing the evil in the world. The mountains perhaps symbolizing companies like World Marshal, entities you can't fight or even completely destroy. Once again, this is showing that Sam is corrupted. He no longer stands for justice. He's lost his way, thinking he's gone insane because he once had these strong, unflinching morals. One of the reasons why I think the mountains in this song represent World Marshal and Desperados is because we know that Sam went to their building in his DLC. He climbed a skyscraper to meet Armstrong, all because he was wondering who he was and what he fights for. Looking downward from the skyscraper, or mountain in this case, he realizes he doesn't know why he fights anymore, at least not after joining Armstrong. One thing I noticed when replaying this game is there actually is a time when the music fades out in Sam's fight. It's when Sam loses his sword, the music fades away, similar to how it does on Metal Gear Exodus. And if we're going by the theory that the music is directly tied to Raiden being equally matched or winning a fight, then the music fading out here is incredibly interesting. I think this signifies two things. One is my prevailing theory, and the other is just a simple other explanation. My prevailing theory here is that we know Sam is almost 100% human with some cybernetic enhancements. We know that he's stronger than Raiden because he almost took down Armstrong all by himself. I think the music fading out when he loses his sword is showing that while they are equally matched swordsmen, Raiden here is clearly physically outmatched by Sam. I mean, just look at Sam's moves. Dude is a powerhouse even without his sword. My second theory is very simple, and it will come back into play later. If this song is truly from Sam's perspective, Raiden having his sword now also means that he's no longer equally matched to Raiden, similar to the other fights now, but it's from Sam's perspective instead of from Raiden's perspective.
Playtime's over.
Okay, so now we get to an amazing song, but this game does something insanely cool here. We've already talked about morals and how unflinching Raiden and Sam are, but Armstrong is also unflinching in his morals. He wants to do his plan for remaking America, and he feels so intensely about it. That's his moral obligation, his goal, what drives him. When we're fighting him, he kicks our ass. He's seemingly invincible. Not even punching him does anything. Even slashing him doesn't do anything. Until he does something. He says something incredible that most people miss, and they think it's a one-liner. Despite all of our best efforts, we can't even scratch Armstrong until he says this.
You know what? Fuck this war. I just want you to get.
That's right. At this point, he's now given up on his morals and what he stood for, and only now can we attack Armstrong and defeat him and do anything meaningful to his HP. Now, this song is an interesting POV in that it can either be Raiden or Armstrong's POV of this song, depending on who you think is singing it. I'll be looking at the song from Armstrong's POV. Armstrong realizes that Raiden is just like him, driven by his goals and morals and unwilling to compromise in them. Armstrong here thinks that you can't really judge right from wrong, but in the end, it doesn't matter because it has to be this way. Someone has to die so someone else can live. This is interesting, and how it cements my belief that this song is from Armstrong's POV, and that Armstrong didn't really do anything wrathful. He never cuts down hundreds of people. He showed genuine mercy to people begging for it, and the worst thing he ever did was try to assassinate the president and occupy a military base. When you look at the career of Armstrong, he led an almost peaceful life aside from those things, but when you look at it from his POV, a crazy man with white hair has started killing innocent men who were just doing their jobs, and he started killing your employees because of some weird sense of justice he has, which is Raiden's own wrath. Raiden could have let everything go after Namani was killed, but instead he led a one-man killing spree against desperados and World Marshal for revenge. He even just straight up says it.
I said my sword was a tool of justice. Not used in anger. Not used for vengeance. But now I'm not so sure. And besides, this isn't my sword.
But Armstrong sees something in Raiden, as well as hinting that maybe after all of this, they are both the same with the exact same moral code. This line is simple, as it's just talking about what Sundowner said before, that war is just a part of who we are, and it's nobody's fault at all that a war starts somewhere in the world. This once again is a simple line, talking about how after wars happen, new things sprout up. Things start to change and grow. Look at World War II, for example, where Berlin was bombed and leveled, but today it was rebuilt and reborn as a new city entirely. Once again, I want to talk about something here. In this fight, this time, Raiden can lose his sword, similar to what he does to Sam. And when he does, again, the music fades from the lyrics to just an instrumental. Now, this cements my belief this is from Armstrong's perspective. Armstrong at this point is only matched up against Raiden when Raiden has a sword, but physically, Armstrong is no match for Raiden at this point. And if you don't believe me, you're thinking, how is Raiden outmatching like a muscle-bound dude with nanomachines? Let's even look at how much damage Raiden was doing at the beginning of the fight punching Armstrong, but now that Raiden is super pissed off and ready to kill Armstrong, let's look at the damage he does now. And now we can see how much damage Raiden is doing to Armstrong with these punches, and in some cases even catches him completely off guard. And if after all this you still somehow don't believe that this song is from Armstrong's perspective, let me show you my final bit of evidence. That's right. After Armstrong takes this huge hit, the music fades out for a split second, like Armstrong's about to lose consciousness from this hit. The song wouldn't do that if it was from Raiden's perspective, because Raiden did not get hit by Armstrong. He avoided his fist. Now, you may have noticed that I missed a couple of songs. Red Sun, Dark Skies, Collective Consciousness, etc. They aren't bad songs, and in fact, some of them are even my favorite in the entire game, but I just couldn't find any deeper meanings behind them, and personally, my name isn't MatPat. I like to use evidence-based theorizing on things that I want to bring up and talk about, and let's be honest, right? At the end of the day, when Jamie Christopherson was writing these songs, he was probably given a template of what these characters are like, and of course he wrote excellent themes and songs for them. But at the end of the day, he probably wasn't thinking, let me write these songs with greater implications and purpose and hope that the game devs know what I was going for with them and to put them in very specific spots and do very specific things with them. All of these songs are reflective of the bosses themselves, but it is very fun to theorize where they might fit in and what they mean in the greater scheme of things, beyond just being a general description of the bosses and their feelings or their sadistic nature. However, beyond that, I do think that it was a legitimate choice to reflect how powerful Raiden is becoming, with some songs having lyrics right out the gate, some songs not having lyrics, some songs having instrumentals in a very specific point and lyrics in a very specific other point. I do think that was an intentional thing to show Raiden's subtle progression over time. That being said, Metal Gear Rising is personally one of my favorite games. I love this game to death. It's amazing in just about every single way. It's batshit insane. And I'm glad that I could make this video to maybe have people see what they missed, because the music and what this game does, I feel that a lot of people miss. And I've watched a lot of retrospectives, so maybe someone out there did cover them, but not any of the ones that I watched. They give a general overview of the music, but they don't ever dive deeper into the characters, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. And who knows, right? Maybe someone in the comments will draw parallels to the songs that I didn't cover and what is happening to Raiden or a reflection in his life so far. And that's amazing, and I hope you guys do, because I would love to hear some theories. But with that being said, I'll let this song continue to play out, because it is one of my favorite songs in the entire game, and I think it's one of the most underrated songs that most people just generally ignore. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Struggling with the truth.